Today, we're going to tackle one of the biggest questions of our time. It's a question that stretches from the highest levels of global policy all the way down to the simple words you type into a text box. We're going to connect the dots between three very different worlds to figure this all out. All right, so this is it. This is the fundamental challenge. And it's not just about code, right? It's about values, it's about ethics, it's about control. How do we make sure that these incredibly intelligent systems we're building are actually aligned with what we as humans really want? This single question is going to be our guide through this whole thing. So let's start way up high, at the 30,000-foot view. All around the world, you have thinkers, engineers, and policymakers all trying to forge a kind of ethical constitution for AI, a universal set of principles to steer its development. And this quote from the IEEE, a massive global organization of engineers, it just nails the mission. The goal is to keep these systems human-centric. It's such a simple but really powerful idea. Technology has to serve our values, not the other way around. And, this isn't just a friendly suggestion. They're framing it as an absolute necessity if we're ever going to trust these systems. So what are these huge ethical hurdles we're facing? Well, as you can see, they're the big ones. We're talking about transparency, so we can actually understand why an AI made a certain decision. Accountability, so we know who's on the hook when things go wrong. And of course, the big one, making sure it all serves human well-being, upholds our rights, and avoids the sneaky algorithmic bias that can so easily poison the data. These are basically the pillars of that whole global framework. And you know what's kind of wild? To build these brand new rules, we're actually digging up some really old ideas. I mean, take these two. On one hand, you've got virtue ethics, which is basically asking, can we program an AI to aim for a goal of human flourishing, to teach it to be virtuous? On the other hand, utilitarianism asks something different. Can an AI just do the math and pick the option that creates the best outcome for the most people? We're literally trying to encode ancient philosophy into modern code. Okay. I know that all sounds super grand and pretty abstract, so let's make a hard pivot. What in the world does any of that have to do with something as fun and creative as making music? Well, the connection is a lot closer than you might think. All right, let's zoom way in. From that global stage right down into the creative studio, where basically anyone can direct a seriously powerful AI with just a couple of words. Using a tool like Suno AI to make a song is like seeing our big question in miniature. It's a fun little three-step dance. First, you set the high-level rules, the genre, the style. Then, you get specific. You write a prompt that describes exactly the sound you're hearing in your head. And finally, you react. You refine what the AI spits out. In that moment, you're the director. You are the policymaker for your song. And this right here, this is the crucial point. Every single time you write a prompt, for music, for an image, for anything, you are setting a boundary. You're giving it a goal. In that moment, you are writing the most immediate, most direct rule for that AI's behavior. Now let's take that idea and just push it. Let's push it way out to its most fascinating, most extreme conclusion. What if an AI didn't just follow our rules, but started building its own language, its own logic, based on the rules we give it, in a never-ending loop? And that brings us to this theoretical but incredibly powerful concept for the future of AI. A system that is designed to grow, to evolve, and to, literally, think about its own thinking. The key idea here is recursion. Think of it like a conversation that the AI is having with itself. Its output, its answer, doesn't just stop there. It gets fed right back into its own system as a new piece of information, a new building block to learn from. It's a system designed for infinite self-improvement, constantly refining its own internal logic based on its own conclusions. This description uses the perfect metaphor, a fractal. You know how when you zoom into a fractal pattern, you keep seeing smaller, identical versions of itself forever? A recursive AI's intelligence would be structured in a similar way. Every new thought is built from the same fundamental patterns as its old ones, just at a deeper, more complex, more intricate level. So to have this kind of recursive thought, an AI would need a totally new kind of language, something way more complex than ours. I mean, look at this comparison. Our words are linear, pretty static, but these theoretical glyphs, they'd be multidimensional. Imagine a single word that doesn't just mean one thing, but also carries information about context, time, and its relationship to everything else. A single glyph wouldn't just be a noun. It could be an entire operation, a command to the system itself. So now we've got our three pieces: the high-level global ethics, the simple user prompt, and this mind-bending concept of a recursive, self-improving AI. It's time to snap them all together. This is the question we've been building towards, right? What is the thread that connects a musician in their studio with a philosopher defining human rights? How do both of them end up shaping some far future intelligence? And here it is. This is the connection. In a future recursive system, every single input matters. Those high-level ethical frameworks we're building, they aren't just documents. They become the foundational code, the core principles of the AI's operating system. But, and this is the key, so does every single prompt we give it. Every song we ask for, every simple question we ask, that also becomes a piece of the code. Our daily interactions become the millions of tiny lessons that are constantly fine-tuning its evolving ethical compass. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Your interaction with AI is not a passive act. It doesn't matter if you're crafting some complex, world-changing query or just asking for a silly song about your cat. You are contributing to a vast recursive learning process. You are one of billions of teachers. You are, in your own small way, writing the rules.